This special WA running podcast training series, The Road to Bunbury Lighthouse, is brought to you by Bix Nutrition and Hydration, a local WA company developed by athletes for athletes. Bix Nutrition and Hydration products deliver the perfect balance of carbohydrates, electrolytes, and macronutrients in a light, clean, natural taste, ideal for endurance training, racing, and recovery. Fuel your endurance with the newly released Bix Big 40 Energy Gel. Each gel delivers 40 grams of carbohydrates and 160 calories along with 200 milligrams of sodium. The caffeine option provides 75 milligrams of caffeine to keep you focused throughout your workouts, long runs, and races. Bix Nutrition Hydration. Keep showing up.
Hiya everyone, and welcome to episode 003 of Warp's Road to Bunbury Lighthouse training series, brought to you by Bix Nutrition and Hydration. We are here Wednesday, 2nd of April, and just 11 days until race day. My co-host this evening is, of course, Simon Vio Spew Pham, the man with a brand new Japanese bidet. He's got a very clean ass. How are you?
Yeah, very good. I just used it 30 minutes ago. It's amazing. Probably need some backstory here. So the Japanese bidet was a wedding anniversary gift to celebrate 10 years of marriage. And I've got the cleanest ass in the northern suburbs. So happy with that. Is that the answer that you were looking for?
Yeah. Perfect. Thanks very much. All right. No, good start. And of course, with us here, Simon and I's tip to take out the half marathon, Hannah Paget. We understand you've been dealing with a little bit of a swollen ankle in the week or so just gone. How are you?
Thanks. That's very generous of you. My ankle did blow up last week, strangely. I got to see Ash's mate Sean today, so I've got some pretty good news there. So I'm doing quite well now, after a week off last week,
Awesome. Great to hear. My oldest mate and the mastermind behind the insanity laps around Hyde Park on Fridays, with a new pair of wheels he probably hasn't shown his wife. David Perich, how have you been?
I've been very well. She saw them. I've got a big box of shoes outside that is pretty unavoidable because it struggles to close with all the shoes. But I did take 4 pairs to get recycled to make space for new inflows.
Very good. Very good. Jackson Lemin, Lord of the Sandwich, team representative at the community run last week. Shout out to Jake for the kudos on my run last November. What's been happening, mate?
Very well. Thanks for having me again, guys. Happy to be here. Going well. Bit of taper tantrums at the moment, bit of mania. Just kind of looking forward to seeing how it all plays out and coming to the pointy end of it all.
Yeah, definitely. And finally, we have Bunbury's finest physiotherapist throwing off her wedding anniversary this evening to chat to us tonight. Ashlee Ritson, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. I'm more disappointed that Pete forgot that it was recording night. I think that's far worse than,
Maybe Pete needs to get you a Japanese bidet.
Yep, look, we can talk about it.
Pete, if you're hearing this, Japanese bidet.
Very good, everyone. All right, so look, we've obviously hit the peak of everyone's build in the last week or so. It's been a long road to Bunbury Lighthouse, and certainly there's been some ups and downs for some of you. It'd be great for you all to take us through your training the past few weeks since we last spoke. Maybe identifying or touching on any key long run workouts or tune-up races that you might have done in the last few weeks to get you either feeling confident or potentially readjusting your goals. We'll also like to hear about what gear you're intending to wear on race day, and of course, if you've got any pre-race or race weekend rituals that make you slightly different from the norm. Jackson, let's start with you. Like you've been putting out some pretty consistent marathon-specific long runs the last few weeks, and it seems to always be that Bridges Loop in Kings Park that you do. Maybe give us the rundown, mate. Are we going to be putting these accusations of you being a massive sandbagger to bed?
Oh, look, yeah, definitely over this marathon block, I made a really conscious effort to kind of try and hone in on that goal marathon pace of 4:55 to 5 minute Ks. So yeah, most of my long runs this time around, I did my my three big key ones were all 3 hours long. So they started with between 12 and 15 Ks easy, up and then back down to Kings Park, just to get a bit of elevation and kind of like try and tire the legs out a little bit more than just running, 15 Ks flat before I'd move into. So the big ones I did were 2 by 10 kilometer at goal marathon pace, 3 by 5 at goal marathon pace, and then a 12 kilometer flat at marathon pace. Yeah, that it's felt comfortably hard, but yeah, I think being able to hit them sessions consistently and kind of not blow up in them, and my heart rate's been pretty good and things like that. Yeah, I definitely, it's given me a fair bit of confidence going into Bunbury that hopefully if it all goes well on the day, I'll be able to tie it all together for that 3:30, 3:25 kind of area. But yeah, we'll see how we go on the day.
Yeah, awesome. How did that 2 by 10 session feel in comparison to, say, the 12K straight? I mean, the 20Ks at marathon pace is pretty solid, especially after doing 15 or so up the hills beforehand.
Yeah, I don't know, the last kind of three were tough, but it's in training, it's it's going to be tough on the day. So I feel like it's nice to get a little bit of that tough, hard work in training. If you've never experienced it before and then it all hits you on race day, it's I haven't been here before, I don't know what to do. They were tough, but I was it's going to be harder on race day. If you can get through these, kind of embrace that, that little bit of pain and that little bit of hard effort to sustain it, and that'll hold me in good stead. But yeah, the last block I did, I ran a half marathon at goal marathon pace. Yeah, I think the fact it wasn't all out, it wasn't 42 Ks, it was just the 20. I got a lot of confidence from that.
Yeah, nice. And I mean, so you've got 3:25 to 3:30, say, as the goal. A goal.
Yeah.
Is there a B goal and is there a C goal?
B goal, I would like under 3:40. 3:40 was what I was going for in Perth, and I didn't quite get that. So if I could tick that off, if I can salvage that, and then C goal would be just to break 3:51 and get another PB on the board would be nice.
Beauty. No, pretty solid. I mean, yeah, the training's been good and all stacking up nicely. Look, we've already probably talked about your post-race rituals a lot on this series, whether it be milk or the steak sandwiches. Is there anything you do beforehand that's potentially a little bit, special?
Just carbs. Just everything I've wanted to eat all marathon block, I cannot wait to get into the Cocoa Pops, the bread, just potatoes on potatoes, lollies. I'm a massive lolly fiend. So to be able to, put away 2-3 bags of Skittles and not feel guilty about it will be great. But yeah, I've still been getting a lot of skim milk in for the recovery. But yeah, I've never travelled before for a marathon. I got my mate to drive me to Perth, so I've got a hotel down in Bunbury, so a lot of kind of new experiences for this one. But that's also something that I'm really looking forward to, and getting to kind of travel, and even though it's only an hour and a half down the road, I haven't been to Bunbury in a long time, so yeah, just kind of I like that aspect of why I'm doing Bunbury. I haven't run down there. It's all new. It's all exciting. But But yeah, pre-race stuff, a lot of carbs, 3 grams of salt a day for 2 days, and just try and put enough stuff in the engine that it gets me over the line.
Yeah, so you've obviously fine-tuned the numbers, or you've been researching them at the very least.
There'll be 550 for the first day, and then 750 for the day before.
He's done his research. So what would you have the morning of, or what are you thinking of having the morning of the race?
4 crumpets, 30 grams of dates, a white monster, and then 15 minutes before the start, I'll have a big gel. And I've done that for every long run for the past 7 weeks. So that sits well. Yeah.
It's worked a treat then. No tummy issues, no toilet issues.
Nah. Man of routine.
What are we working with on these crumpets?
Vegemite.
Oh, you're not even getting the extra carbs. You just couldn't go with jam or honey.
Well, I normally would go the honey, but then I love dates. Like, dates are probably one of my favourite foods. So if I can get 30 grams of them on the side instead of the honey, I'll take the dates over that.
Yeah, beauty. I mean, that's a pretty solid meal pre-race. You'll be nice and full on start line. Gear. Now, we mentioned before we recorded that potentially you might have some spicy gear to tell us about. You want to share that with everyone?
Yeah. So I was I've done all my training in shorts this time around, and last marathon I ran in like the Nike Trail half tights that have got like the 7 pockets in them, but they're super, super heavy. And I was like, I want to wear shorts. Like, I love running in shorts. And then I found my old like trail belt and took that and ran with 5 gels in that and was like, oh, why don't I just wear this, So I also wanted a couple of one of them little zipper pockets on the back of like the top of your shorts. The only pair I could find online was a pair of women's ones. So I ordered them. They came and they're just slightly too big. I think I ordered a size too big, thinking, they'd be women's, they'd be a lot smaller. But yeah, so now I won't be wearing the women's shorts on race day, but I've got a pair of them in the drawer and they'll come out for some training runs down the line. Other gear, I've gone with the Puma DV8 Nitro Elite 3s as the shoe of choice. I ordered the Metaspeed Edges online, and they came, but I went up to Running Warehouse in Osborne Park, and I ran in the Pumas on the treadmill, and I was like, these feel amazing, but I didn't buy them. And then I came back and ordered the Edges, and then I was like, why didn't I just get them Pumas, while I was up there? So I called the store the next morning and asked them if they still had them, and the guy said yes. So I paid for them over the phone and drove up there and got them on the Monday. Brought them home. One was a 10.5, one was a 10. All the way back up there on the Tuesday, an hour from work to get the right size. And then the Metaspeeds came, and I don't have time to try both of them, so I took the Metaspeeds back anyway.
Oh,
so fluffed around a bit, but that's the shorts, how I'm carrying stuff, and the shoe of choice. So a bit about the gear.
Very nice. Simon, did you have any more questions for Jackson, mate?
No, he's covered it. He's prepared. He's ready to go. So looking forward to it, Jackson.
Yeah, no stone unturned.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Awesome. Ash, look, I think you were sick probably about 2 weeks ago for about 10 days or so. How have you been feeling? Have you gotten back to running successfully? And are you still going to be driving the bus?
Ooh, yeah, why not? I've had a great 10 days, actually. I've run 8 out of 10 days, which is awesome. The 10 days before that, I got 1 run in. So, and I feel like that's just been the last 3 months for me, really. Like, I'll have a great couple of days or great week or so, and then just get slammed by something. So I still same goal. I still want to go for that sub 3. So I'm just gonna just see what happens on the day. I think just give it everything, and So I don't know if I'll be driving the bus or if I'll be just trying to run to catch it or something like that. But I've also made a bet with Sean because we at Koombana Physio for about the last 8 years, I think we've had a massage tent at the finish line for the marathon and the half marathon finishes. And it's just standard that even if you're running, you still have to work doing massage on everyone afterwards. And we have made a bet that if I can get in under 3 hours, I don't have to work massaging. So I've got extra motive now to get there.
Yeah, very nice. Well, the last thing you want to be doing after running for 3 hours is, touching someone else's sweaty body. So.
Yeah. But it is great that they'll be there. They'll be there. Hopefully,
that's
I'll
the
be laying on the
motivation.
table. Yeah.
What's your previous PB in the marathon, Ash?
The Busto Marathon a couple of years ago, 3 hours and 6 minutes.
Okay, so we've been around the mark before, but haven't quite touched sub 3.
Correct, yeah, and that was sort of the first marathon I'd done. I guess I did one 10 years ago, but I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't really know what I was doing 2 years ago either. But that was the same sort of. I'll just go out and see how fast I can go, and did a terrible last 10Ks in the last one, and I think this one will be better.
Yeah, nice. Well, you've been working on the Pilates and the Rideau specials, so the strength will be there.
Oh yeah.
Very good. So a goal obviously is sub 3. Is there a fallback, or are you just all in on that?
Nah. I've just put all my eggs right there. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
So if we see Ashlee in the tent, then it's a failure.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, if you see me trying to massage afterwards, still shaking, then I'm failed.
No, I don't think we're going to see that. I think we're good. How about your pre-race rituals, Ash? Anything particularly rare about you?
Oh, at the moment, it's breastfeeding. That's usually the first thing that happens at the start of the day. It's interesting because I'm pretty sure the marathon starts at 6:30. Is that right? Yep. So that's pretty late for a long run for me. Usually I'm up at about 4. So I think I'll still get up early, do some eating. I don't know if I'm gonna definitely have a plan. Anything like Jackson's. Mine's usually just open the fridge. Is there any food in there? Hopefully there is. Otherwise, I don't know, kids' Weet-Bix or something that I can find. And then either pump or breastfeed depending if Arnie's up, and then try and just get to the start line. I did the run in a team on the weekend down at the Dunsborough Xterra, and I was standing there in transition waiting for our rider cyclist to come in, and as I saw him come in to transition, I was like, oh my God, I don't have my race bib on. So I was like, oh, it's in the car. So as he's coming in, I'm sprinting away to get my race bib. Got it, raced back to transition area. I was like, okay, good. This is, good reminder. Make sure you've got all your stuff for the marathon. So it was good. Good practice run.
Yeah, for sure.
So maybe put my race bib on. That could be part of my, maybe I should start a list now. Feed the baby, put on my race bib, put on my shoes.
Bring a watch. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Not fast on the watch?
Not really. I'm pretty new to running with a watch, so I don't tend to, especially in a race, I don't tend to look at the watch much, especially at Bunbury. I know exactly how far there is to go on the track, but I kind of just run off, how I'm feeling, I guess.
And Perich will be there anyway, so you'll just follow him, right?
Yeah, bang on.
Obsessively checking my watch every 200 meters.
Actually, I was quite excited because I don't know why, but I thought to run sub 3 you had to do a 4:10 average pace, and then I saw one of your, you running at marathon pace, and it said 4:15, and I was like, oh, David, too slow. What are you doing? And then I looked it up, and I was like, oh no, he was right.
How funny. So maybe not as difficult as you thought it was going to be.
Oh, yeah, we'll see. I've also got some advice for Jackson on the drive down. There's the new Bunbury Outer Ring Road. So
yes.
Yeah. Don't get stuck on it. Just keep left.
Okay.
As soon as you come in and you see the big pink bridge, Keep left, otherwise you'll end up in Bustleton.
Roger, keep left. Got it.
Yeah.
And when you think you've gone around the circle too far, you've still got further to go.
Yeah, keep going. Just
Keep
hang
going.
left.
Left circle, keep going.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very good. And I think you briefly flashed a pair of shoes that you might be wearing on race day, Ash.
Oh yeah. So I jumped on the what are they? The Adidas Adidas Pro 3. I got these at the start of the year and they were really cheap. And then I realized it was because the 4 was coming out, the next model up. And I wore these for the Busso half marathon and they felt great. And so I did a few more runs in these and I was like, yep, I love them. I'm going to buy another pair. This was about 2 weeks ago. I was like, I'm going to buy another pair now for the Three Waters. And cannot find my size in this shoe anywhere because obviously the 4's out. And I was like, no, don't change models, don't change shoes. So I've just put these ones carefully away in the cupboard and they're not allowed to come out again now until the race day.
Yeah, nice. Well, if I can give you a tip, I did pick up a pair at the airport DFO, and there were pairs around, and they were about $150 a pop. So
yeah, okay. So they might have. I'll just duck up there and check. Yeah.
Oh, look, yeah, I'm sure it's a quick drive for you from down there. But
I mean, I feel like David Perich is always there, so you could probably pick up a pair for them.
Oh, well, next time you're there, David, let us know.
Yeah, I'll look out. Yeah.
Alrighty, so Hannah, like we mentioned at the top of the episode there, a little bit of an injury scare last week, which meant you couldn't join us in the community run. We won't hold it against you. How is the ankle? How is the mind? And more importantly, how is your fitness trending?
Yeah, pretty good. I'm quite sure. So it was the week towards the end of the week before last. I did notice a little sensation of niggle in my ankle. Then towards the end of that, on the Sunday, I noticed a tiny bit of swelling, and as last week progressed, there was some considerable swelling. And so I didn't run from Tuesday on. And then I actually got in with Sean, I guess Bunbury's second best physio, and he checked it out today.
Was Ashlee busy?
Yeah, Ashlee, I never had Ashlee on speed dial before this, so I've always had Sean available. And actually, Ash, you missed out because he looked at it and he was like, oh, this is cool. Can I show Rido? And I was like, yeah, if you want. What, is she the ankle specialist? He's like, no, it's just really cool. But you weren't anywhere to be found. So what he said was that it was just, you might be able to help me out with the technical terms, Ash, but there's like the ligaments that go around the back or side of the ankle there. And he's saying something about the sheath that they're in and the fluid in there just swelled up. So he was like, poking one end and you could see the fluid poke up on the other end, and it was like, anyway. So it's
like a straw, basically,
like a straw.
fluid moving up and down.
So the swelling's still there. It's a bit. I can feel it more when I'm walking. So when I'm running, it's actually quite all right. So I've done a few easy runs. I did have to adjust the training. So the plan was to have a bit of a sort of a specific session on Saturday just gone. And that would have given me a bit more of an idea of where I'm at for the race. But I decided not to do that because I was still a bit unsure about it. So actually got to catch up with James on Friday while I was in Perth. So that was really handy. And we decided to just, because of the pretty much no running last week and just jogging this week. And then I'm actually going to go in for that session on Saturday. So a week out seems a bit close, but because everything else is such a light load, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. So... that's kind of where I'm at with the training.
Yeah, nice. And what is that session that you've got coming up on Saturday then?
It was 3 5Ks running sort of progressively faster, around about tempo to half marathon pace, I guess. Bit of a test for me because when he originally put the paces down, before the ankle got sore, he did have some paces down there that were sub 4. And I sort of thought, that'll be tough for me and a bit of a test, but I'll see how it goes. Then when my ankle got quite sore, James took off the paces and just said, run more to feel. So we'll just see how I go. I
mean, obviously, not having paces and running to feel is probably difficult to exactly nail down a time goal. But if you're not aiming for a time goal, is it potentially to race it, in the head of at the front of the pack, or what are you thinking about your goals?
I guess after Saturday, I'll probably have a bit of an idea of what kind of pace to go out at. I always like to just run to feel. I guess I have, been around for a few years now, so I know what it feels like when you're going out too hard. So that's the first aim, is to always keep away from that area. Honestly, as cheesy as it sounds, my primary aim is always to have fun. If I'm out there and I'm hating it, then what do I got to do? I got to dial it back or whatever. It's super cheesy, but it's really important. In terms of pace, I think probably after last year, I feel like even if I'm not having a great run, I can sit around the 125 mark. So that would kind of be my probably where my brain is at the moment. That's probably the only way I can put it. Yep. Not 100% sure that I'd be looking at a PB or anything, so probably nothing below 124.
What is your PB, out of curiosity?
It was 2 years ago in Bunbury, actually. I think it was sort of mid 123.
Pretty sharp.
Yeah.
Thanks.
beat me to it, Jackson. Yeah. And I guess, do you know what shoes you'll be wearing on race day?
Yeah, I bought a pair of shoes just before the Perth Marathon last year. It was the Nike Vapor Flies were at the time. So I don't use carbons for training, so they're pretty much in pristine condition. I think they've done that in the half marathon I did in Setagaya after that, and one training session.
Yeah, wow, nice to have a fresh pair of shoes on race day. Any pre-race rituals, Hannah, that potentially set you apart from the rest of these individuals on the screen?
Well, I love my yoga, and my boyfriend's actually a yoga instructor, so I drag him up in the morning. He's an early morning person anyway, and I make him take me through 15-20 minutes of bit of sort of warm up and slow down at the same time. He did the first one for me, Bunbury, last year, and I reckon about 5 minutes in, he started doing all this lungy type stuff. I was like, what are you doing? It's like, yeah, I'm helping you warm up for the run. And I'm like, you're fatiguing my quads. Stop it. So, he's learnt and he's getting better at.
It's always nice to have someone to blame.
Yeah. So yeah, that's sort of I quite enjoy doing that in the mornings before the race. Yeah,
and that helps you kind of get in the zone a little bit.
Yeah. For anyone that's a bit of a sort of on the anxious side of things, it helps me slow down a lot, and I think since I've been doing that, I've had the best start lines I've ever had. Yeah.
Awesome. Great to hear. Well, yeah, looking forward to what you've got going on race day then, Hannah. No matter what happens this Saturday, I'm sure you're going to do very well. David, so Smarilli and I took you out for a big long run a couple of weeks ago, and you had planned an unbroken 28 kilometres at marathon pace for the day after a short warm-up. And to be fair, he and I probably went out a tad aggressively and probably, maybe torched you a little bit in the earlier part of that run. How are you feeling at this point of the build in comparison to how you felt, last year, even though your goals might have been different?
Yeah, heaps better than last year, for sure. So I think last year was my first marathon. I think I trained still pretty strongly, but there's this app, intervals.icu, which you can set up comparison windows between your data. So I've got one that looks at the Bunbury block from last year and the Bunbury block from this year, and it can see lots of things, but some of them are I've done 24 hours more running this time than I had last time, and that's 230 Ks. But it also shows my heart rate, my effort versus pace, and all of that is positively trending compared to last year as well. So I definitely know I'm fitter than I was last year. I do in a way feel my last two big workouts were sabotaged by the hosts of the podcast. When we were recording last time, we talked about the Secret Rocky Run and that I wasn't racing, and Simon took that to mean that he should go all out on the first few Ks so I wouldn't be able to run with him. And then I had a pretty rough day then. And then, this big workout we had, like I think it was like it would have been. I think it was if we go off your watches, yours and Matt's, it was a half marathon PB by like a minute. So it was, but it wasn't the workout that we had planned, which was a bit of a silly workout in retrospect. And I left. Jackson said something which was like, I wrote it down, of like, get that feeling of like you've worked really hard, like you would on race day. And I feel like both times I've been in that position, I've bailed out of the workout. Like I've been like, oh, I could keep pushing. The first time was Secret Rocky Runners, and I was like, I could keep pushing. I know I've got to run. I've got a huge week planned for next week. I kind of mentally switched out like 3Ks into the race, and it was a huge battle to just even finish that race. And then that 28K marathon pace one, I just, as it was getting closer to like the 20Ks, I was like, oh, I don't want to do 8 more Ks. I don't want to do 9 more. Like, I couldn't imagine doing that distance. And so we stopped at 21, and I was like, we'll have a quick break and we'll go again. But then we went to go again, and our legs had all seized up. So I left a little bit disappointed in myself after both of those. But objectively, they were still pretty good workouts. Like both of them were basically half marathons at marathon pace in a continuous block,
or quicker than marathon pace by a reasonable margin too.
Yeah.
You don't want to run your racing training though. You know, leave the carrots in the ground.
That's pretty wise, Jackson. It's good.
Thank you.
Carrots in the ground.
Yeah.
So what's your mileage been in the last, say, 5-6 weeks? Then has it been consistently? Because I remember last time I looked at it, it was like around 120, wasn't it?
So I did like 128, which is I think the week we last recorded, and Jackson called me out for chasing mileage, and I did think of it, like I definitely was fatigued. Like I tipped over the line into being like not enjoying training and having really heavy legs. So originally I was going to like stick around that one, like high 120s, 130. The next week was the Secret Rocky Runners, so I had like a little bit of a taper. And then the following 2 weeks I did 120 and 120. So I kind of tipped it down a little bit. Just took a little bit off each of the runs basically. So that's kind of where I had 4 weeks of that. And then, this past week was around 100. Like dropped it down to 100, and this week will be 85 or something, 80-ish.
So tell us about the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro 2s. How are they? An unusual looking shoe, and probably different from the run-of-the-mill Alpha Flies or Adidas shoes that most people would be wearing. Yeah,
I have had my eye on them for a while because they've been on sale for $199 a lot of the time. And then we saw a Ballarat marathon voucher that took another $50 off. So I got them for $150. I don't care that much about shoes. I was mad at my other shoes after the race, but I think that was just me wanting to take out my anger. That should have been directed at myself, at something else. But I do feel, what are my other shoes? You can tell how much.
You had Saucony Endorphin Pro 2s, I think.
Yeah, they're kind of just like I've been using them for training workouts now, and they're pretty good for that. But there's nothing to them. They don't feel very exciting. Whereas these Wave Rebellion Pros feel insane. They feel very strange to walk around in and jog in, like a big ball under your foot. So a little bit more going on, which has been enjoyable. I've only worn them twice, I think.
Yeah. And are you going to wear them for another workout before the race, or are you kind of
just going for them?
Nice. Beauty.
Yeah.
So obviously sub 3 is the big goal. And the big goal is probably sub 2:57:33. But maybe you want to touch on your 3, or if you've got 3 goals to go with.
Yeah, I don't really care about time. Like, I think it's good to have time goal in training because it kind of focuses you on your paces and what you should potentially work towards. I think I'd be just disappointed if I didn't get under sub 3 because I'd feel compelled to run another marathon, which at the moment I don't really want to do. So like, and you need to pick a pace that you'll run at. So like I will be going out to try and get under 3. The kind of process goals I have are like not to blow up before 36, 38 Ks. Like I think if I can get to there, then I can kind of hold on for 5 Ks or 3 Ks. And that's in conflict with the other goal of like, feel like I've given everything. I think it comes back to that. Like I don't want to get to the end like I did last year and like be able to sprint maybe as long as I did last year. Like I felt like there was a little bit left in the tank. And that was just inexperience in how I paced it probably. The ones I'm interested in doing are like, I would love to run with a group of people, but at the same time, I know you have to run your own race. So the question is like, if there is a pack, how much should you push to like stay with the pack? Like, say it's going like closer to 310, 410 okay. And like I want to go out at closer to 415. Like, is it worth sticking with a bigger pack to kind of make it through, or because last year I ran 40 Ks in Bunbury by myself. Like there was a pack 5 minutes behind me, and then you guys like 7-8 minutes ahead of me. But the entire thing was by myself, which wasn't the most enjoyable experience.
Well, what would you say? Well, and if anyone wants to, open it up to everyone. Like if you were kind of extended beyond maybe what you've been training at, would you go with the pack in order to have someone to run with, or would you just kind of run your own race?
I feel like over a marathon, it's so risky to go out hot, but it is so much easier running with people. Like, if you wanted to go at 4:15s and they were going at like 4:12, sit with the pack. But if they're pushing, 4:08, 4:09, I'd be like, nah, I'll, run my own race. Like, it's a long distance to be hot for.
Yeah, for sure. Hannah or Ash, were you going to jump in and say something there?
I was just going to say it depends, I guess, what the end goal is. And if the end goal is to go under 3, then just hold it. Go as fast as you can for as long as you can.
I love that.
But there is the other goal of don't blow up before 36 kilometers, which is, I think, that's the step to sub 3, because, the rough idea in my head is there will be hopefully a good pack for trying to go for sub 3, like a handful of people, and going somewhat conservatively for that. So like running kind of that, 4:13, 14, 15 type pace. Stick with them for 30 Ks and then see what I've got to try and run down Chris's time. I
think as well, you've done the training. You've put in so much work. I think you can do it. Your body can do it.
And I think you have to settle with the fact that
whether my mind can do it.
I think you just have to settle with the fact that the last 10K, you're going to be by yourself.
Not necessarily. Ash is going to be there, but Ash is probably going to be. Ash is going to be 400 meters up the road.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. That would be ideal. I think that's the dream scenario, is having people to chase down. I feel that's when I operate best, is like I can see people to chase down.
There's nothing worse than people just going past you and they look like they're having the best day ever and you're just dying.
The guy that went past me at Perth Marathon with an Akubra hat on and a backpack in $40 Asics from Jim Kidd, and I was dying. That brutal. Damages the ego.
Yeah. Fuck him.
Yeah, he had fun though. Good luck to him.
Hannah, how about you?
See, to me, I don't really get your dilemma. I'm just such a solo runner that I avoid running with packs. And that was when I ran Perth Marathon. That was my goal, was to just be in front of the 3-hour pack. Ain't no way I wanted to get stuck in with them. I just really love being on my own. I don't know why. Yeah. Can you tell me what's so great about running with people? Maybe I'm missing something here.
I think part of it is I do kind of I feel I struggle a little bit to lock into a pace, and so I will my mind will wander and I'll realize, oh, I'm actually running way too hot, and then I'll back right off. I'm not good at locking into a pace. So unless I'm running with other people who are doing that, because I can just kind of stop paying attention to my watch a bit more. So I think that's the one thing that helps me. And then I think I'm super competitive. So when it gets tough, I can just hang on to these people, or if it's getting close to the end, strategizing in my head how I can beat these people that I don't know. Those things help me a little bit, I think.
I mean, it's going to be pretty interesting. So we've got someone that doesn't wear a watch running to Phil, and someone that doesn't know whether to run in a pack or not. So we need a third bus driver.
And a bus driver, yeah.
It's almost like there's these things called paces that normally do all this work for us.
Yeah.
Maybe not at little Bunbury Three Waters Marathon though. Maybe a World Majors.
No balloons.
No
balloons to follow.
No flags.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Maybe one day.
I think you should just go on your own and just stick to the pace, because I think once you start relying on other people, it will be just as bad, if not worse. Because then you'll just be constantly looking at your watch going, oh, Ashlee's going too fast, Ashlee's going too slow. And because she's not wearing a watch, she's going by feel. So I reckon you just try and lock into the pace yourself. 4:15s, and it's all within your control.
So lead the pack, you reckon?
And then when Ashlee feels good, then you can then make a decision there.
Another thing you could do, if you're setting up splits on your watch, you could change if you don't want to check your watch every kilometre or every 200 metres, you could set up the splits to run it every 5 or 10K potentially. So it might mean that you can take your mind off of things for, potentially, 20, 22 minutes or whatever it is or 21 and a half minutes, at a time, which, might also be beneficial, as long as you can figure out in your head the maths of where you are and where that is. And also factoring in that potentially you're going to run another 300 or 400 meters over the course of the marathon through GPS errors and not necessarily taking the quickest line on the course. So, yeah, I mean, great. I think everyone's got great answers and exciting goals. And, can't wait to see how it all pans out. I mean, I'll be running in the half, probably getting smoked by Hannah. So
we'll see.
And Simon will be, pacing a friend of ours. So we'll all be there, and hopefully we'll be sticking around at the finish line to watch the marathoners come through. And yeah, it'll be awesome. Can't wait. Let's run through some of the event details, just, for the sake of the listeners and maybe for Jackson's sake, as he still seems like he's got a bit of paranoia going on.
What is the elevation? Yeah. What is it?
Well, I think, the last couple of years I've run it, it's been somewhere between 140 and 150. So the elevation profile that is shown on the Bunbury Runners Club website, it's not their profile, but it's like a tracker. It says 270 meters for the half marathon. That's definitely not.
Yeah, that's had me freaking out. The boys have been sending heat maps of the topography, and we've been going back on old Strava history. Hence why Jake accidentally liked your PB from 2 years ago. And yeah, just trying to find stats about how much it is. Because that 270 on the website definitely threw me.
Yeah.
I think if I was running 600 meters of elevation for the marathon, it would have really kind of shifted the trajectory of how I was going to go out and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, the 150 seems to be like you guys have said, that's what you've run in previous years. Seems to be around the mark.
Nah, for sure. It's definitely not like a Sydney marathon or anything. So the Settlement Box Marathon starts at 6:30, as we touched on earlier, nice and early. Hopefully, no humidity, and we're looking at the forecast. Earlier, we were saying that we had minimum of 14 and a maximum of 28. I mean, we're a long way out to be making calls like that, but hopefully a nice cool morning. The Taliesin Lithium Half Marathon starts at 7:30, so for the 3 hour bus, if Hannah and I and Simon are trying to finish in under 2 hours, then we'll be there waiting for you guys at the finish. And then we've got Koombana Physio 10K starting at 8 a.m. So if you're lucky enough to go through halfway at 1:29 or 1:30, you're going to have a whole bunch of 10K runners to contend with, like I did last year, which is kind of good. It gives you a little bit of motivation to chase a few people down. And then we've got the RCR Mining Technologies 5K starting at 8:10. And I'm sure someone like Tom Tej might be down there beating 10-year-olds, but we'll have to wait and see. All of this starting from the Bunbury Runners Club, of course, at One Ocean Drive at the Oval there. Pretty iconic spot overlooking the ocean, a great course. David has just said in the chat that Simon would say he would pace everyone in doing the marathon for the last 15 minutes after he finishes his race. So, Simon, is that true?
How many double whoppers are you offering, David?
I think one from both me and Ash.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'm happy to
come back around and pick me up as well.
Yeah, no, happy to. So 3 double whoppers. Okay, so I mean, my mate is looking to run an hour 39, I think, from memory. So that gives me a time to finish and then go up the Lighthouse and take you guys home, I think. See how we go.
Yeah. We'll have to find the shortest way possible to that point in the course. So, like, in terms of marathon and half marathons, I think these courses are actually AIMS certified, which nobody seems to understand up in Perth. I mean, I've spoken to a few people a few weeks ago and they were like, oh, that's not a certified course like Busselton. And I'm like, no, it's actually, certified. You can qualify for world majors on this course. So hopefully people start to realize that listening to this, or probably the 5 listeners that we've got on this podcast. But yeah, no, it's awesome that we do have a course like that in the regions, not just up in Perth. So, and it's pretty quick too. So as I said, it starts at Bunbury Runners Club. You head down Hannah's Ocean Drive before heading onto Hayward Street. And you take a lap around the big swamp, which where Ash does most of her workouts, I believe, with Shelley Smith. Mm-hmm. And then you kind of head back up Ocean Drive. You take past the start line, and then you go up the Lighthouse for the first time, and you start to realise, that's going to be unpleasant at 41.5 kilometres. But you then head down to Jetty Road. You head out and back, and then kind of work your way past the Dolphin Discovery Centre. And guys, correct me if I'm getting any of this wrong. And then you've got a new addition last year was actually you do a lap of the inlet, which we didn't have the year before. And that you kind of head down Koombana Drive and then back onto Stirling Street before making your way back to the Runners Club via the infamous Lighthouse. So that's one lap, and then you do 2 laps of that, which is, as we've said on past episodes, perfect for spectators because your friends and family can see you at multiple points on the course. Now, there's also personalised drinks, which I think we'll touch on in a minute, and as we've said, 140 metres, and a pretty fast flat course, and in a time of the year which is pretty cool generally. So for the locals, any tips for Jackson, Dave's run it before. Any tips for Jackson's really the one we're kind of taking care of here. Any tips for how to tackle certain aspects of the course? Say Ocean Drive is a mild kind of incline on the way out, but you get to run down it on the way back, and the Lighthouse is there. And I think there was a bit of unsealed part of the course last year, but potentially this year that is no longer the case.
Yeah, that's correct. I think the main thing to think about that could potentially slow you down if you're not aware is the twists and turns around the Marston section. So that starts with, the climb up to the Lighthouse, coming down through the bush section there, and then the twists and turns around the shops there are quite sharp. So that's an interesting part of the course.
That's sharp turns.
When you're trying to run fast.
There was one sharp turn at Perth that absolutely killed me. So multiple sharp turns. At least I know that they're there.
Yeah.
And bushland?
Yeah, it's kind of like
Or just the beach scrub.
it's fine in the first lap. Yeah, it's fine in the first lap. It's the second lap because you head up towards the lighthouse around the 30k mark. So things are starting to hurt. That little incline you start to feel it, and then you do that little zigzag bit once you pass the lighthouse. So I think you just have to be careful around that section because the legs start to get a bit wobbly at that point. So I think other than that, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, don't fall over around the lighthouse.
I think the other thing with Bunbury is just the wind on the day as well. Like if you've got a strong easterly that morning, you'll know it as soon as you head to the swamp because you'll start. That's like probably the first section that you'll go east. And then you will, if it is at easterly, you'll be running into that like after you pass the lighthouse and then head down to the Dolphin Discovery Centre. You'll cop it there and then you'll cop it one way on the inlet too. So I think, but then you'll have it on the way back. So that could be quite nice as well. So you'll have that wind behind you for the last sort of 5Ks or so, unless it's like one of those years where there's a howling southwesterly, but I don't think from the forecast at the moment, it does actually look like it's going to be pretty awesome conditions.
Yeah. But so if there's a couple of laps that are a little bit slower, then I'd like, running into that headwind, just, know that I can make him back up with the tailwind.
I don't want to push you home. Yeah, no problems. Yeah.
Let it take me home.
Yep.
Lovely.
That section that you mentioned, Hannah, has actually caused me a bit of grief a couple of times where I'm kind of late stage of the marathon. You're coming back there and like the fourth time, I guess, you're coming past and your brain's not really working. You've got the fog and there was my first year, there's a set of, you kind of have to take a corner, like a chicane, and there's a set of stairs. It's like a shortcut to go down that chicane. And in my head, I was like, oh, it's just what you have to run down stairs. And I just took a step down like the 3 stairs and I nearly blew my ankle out. And that must have been about 38 Ks into the race. So I was pretty tired.
Hard to recover from.
Definitely. And last year when Simon and I were running together in that 3-hour bus, a friend of ours was running, Rob was taking us as paces and he dropped his glasses twice on that same spot. He hit this curb with his feet because he just wasn't concentrating on his foot. But there are a couple of little tricky parts for sure. But overall, when you're running most sections, you're pretty open.
There's one, I was going to say two last tip.
Go, please.
What is my memory of the finish line is there's like a right angle turn from the like car park onto the grass. And I had to in my mind, I was running very fast, but I may not have been running very fast. But I had to dodge a bunch of half marathon people as well as take this hook turn. That was something I was not prepared for. And the toughest part that I remember is it Koombana Drive, like the out and back. The second time when you've that's probably starting around 36 Ks, I reckon. That's when I started falling apart and just knowing you've got to turn around and go back all the way was something to brace yourself for, I think, Jackson.
Yeah.
Cool. So hook turn at the end, and it's gonna be hard. Yeah.
You'll have all these notes written down on your arm on race day, won't you?
Yeah. In Sharpie.
Yeah.
Stay left.
Yeah. Stay left. Keep going around the circle on the way. Got it.
And one other, the Lighthouse hill is kind of like a double. It's when I was coming at the very end, I was like, all right, I'm going to attack this thing. And I attacked the first part of the hill, and it's kind of a little plateau, and then goes again. And then I was like, "Oh no, I've made a big mistake."
Right, cruise up the first one, and then it's okay.
Pace yourself.
Yeah,
pace
yourself. Okay.
I mean, we're really selling this course on the second lap from the.
That's why you just do one lap.
I was going to say too, Jackson, you run past a lot of pubs, so just don't get too distracted.
Okay, are we like, what's the Steaks and Arrows specials?
Yeah.
I've come down here, right?
So in terms of nutrition, there are personalized drink stations, so you can bring your water bottles, and I think there's 4 drink stations located roughly every 5 Ks, and so you go through those twice. So you can have 8 bottles set up. for your own nutrition and hydration. I assume that the marathoners are going to be taking advantage of that. Is that the case? I mean, Dave, are you going to be bringing the pop tops this year?
Yeah, for sure. It's great. Last year, I'm going to decorate them better. That's another tip for you, Jackson, is I think the first station I took someone else's, the second station, mine was already gone.
Yeah.
And then I missed one late on, partly because there was quite a lot of bottles.
Yeah.
So, try and make yours stand out as much as possible, whatever you have there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was thinking
it was great. I love not having the cups. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's such
I was thinking some obscure tapes and then printing off some emojis or something. I might, do a steak in a sandwich emoji and stick that on there, or a glass of milk. And my bottles will be full of skim milk anyway, so no one's going to say that.
Yeah, gross.
I'm going to go for height this year. So have a flag or something that elevates my top so I can see it.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that. So just going to grab a cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably too much to think about. I mean, I didn't use it the first year, and last year I brought them as a kind of a backup plan, I guess. But I didn't really take advantage of them as much as I probably should have. But no, it's a good option, and especially if you're running at the top end. I mean, I think Carlos last year was trying to qualify. He won the race last year. He was trying to qualify for Tokyo, which at the time was a 2 hour 32 or sub 2 hour 32 time he needed to get, and he ran that race completely solo, and I think he missed out by a handful of seconds. It was agonizingly close, but having those personalized drink stations was pretty critical for him in choosing Bunbury as a race to begin with. And I believe he's coming back this year because all past winners get invited back, which is awesome. So were you going to say something, Jackson?
I was just going to say, I think for mine, I'm going to, I just use the, Bic salt tablets. And then I know that the course has, water, and I think, Tailwind is also on the course. But I was just going to put some, some maybe, 2 or 3 bottles out with just, electrolytes and, a little bit of carb mix in them, just so if I do manage to pick one up, I've got something there if I'm, getting sick of trying to get down the salt caps, or, the Tailwind doesn't taste that nice or whatever. But I've done 6 long runs now with the gels, so I think I'll stick to what I know. But it's definitely when I read that, I was if unless you're an elite, you don't normally get bottles. So to be a recreational runner and to be able to put bottles out is that's so cool. Yeah,
it's a massive advantage. So I assume everyone's going to be using gels as their primary fuel.
Bics, of course.
Bics 40s. I had to source some because they were sold out.
Yeah.
But we managed to get some online in the end. But thank you for all the offers of saying that there was spares floating around. I appreciate that. But I managed to do a late minute order, so I didn't have to stress about that as well.
Yeah. So the event in the hub post race, obviously everyone's going to come in. There's going to be croissants. There's going to be watermelon. There's going to be bananas for all the finishes. All the essentials. I believe the canteen's going to be fully stocked, ready to serve from 6:30. So there'll be plenty of food for spectators as well. And then potentially, I believe, Runamaka down there with their in the sea container, serving alcoholic beverages for those who wish to celebrate their achievements. And I think probably the thing that stood out to me the most was there is going to be a Mr. Whippy van at the finish line.
Nice.
So I know where I'll be going straight after my race.
Yeah.
It might.
Mr. Whippy straight after, maybe a couple snacks. 12 o'clock, lazy on down to a local pub, get a steak sandy, go back to the hotel, eat some more junk food. Yeah, it's gonna. I'm looking forward to after the race more than the race. The race is just the excuse.
For sure.
Yeah.
No, it seems like a really awesome event. Like, yeah, all the stuff that everyone's told me about it and all the things that are going on. And yeah, I'm like super excited to get down there for the first time. And I think like even talking to some of like the people I go to run club with and some of my mates and stuff like that, they've all been like, yeah, I didn't know that like Bunbury had a marathon and whatnot. From what I have shared, it's now on their radars for next year and stuff like that, which I think is really cool.
Definitely. And I hope, Simon and I's hope is that this series kind of brings a bit of light to Bunbury Marathon, because it kind of holds a special place in our hearts. I mean, it was the first place that I ran a marathon, and I've enjoyed doing it last year, and I'm obviously coming back this year. So it's awesome to be a part of such a great event, and hopefully providing, a bit of free advertising for it. So, look, just touch on the prize money because it is a factor, particularly at the pointy end. So, like, pretty good prize money for a regional race, wouldn't you say, Simon?
Yeah, look, it's pretty impressive. So, look, in terms of the marathon, first place gets $1,500, second place gets $300, and third place gets $200. So, that's not bad for a regional race, and I think it's probably attracted a couple of big names coming down, and Carlos coming back, and potentially Adam Lamb coming down as well. So that would be pretty exciting in the marathon. And then in the half marathon, I think first place gets $1,000, second place gets $200, and third place gets $100. So pretty decent prize pool there for the podium winners. And then I think we get age category trophies as well. So yeah, pretty exciting to have that in store for not us, but those that run faster than us. Well, actually,
it'd be nice for Hannah, maybe.
Actually, yeah,
Hannah.
That'll be the question, Hannah. What would you spend your $1,000 on?
Is it really $1,000? That's outrageous.
What about Rio in the marathon as well?
Yeah, true.
That's some incentive to run, isn't it?
It makes it worth the drive from Perth.
Yeah. I thought this sport would never pay. I just spend all my money on shoes and gels and clothes and God knows what. I didn't know if I got good enough at it, I might get some money.
Makes it worth the drive down from Perth. I mean, may as well fly in interstate for it, I reckon.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, look, to be honest, Ash, I reckon you're a chance for some prize money there.
Yeah, we'll see who comes down.
We know of one person from Front Runner that's coming down who is pretty sharp in the marathon. So no doubt she'll be gunning for that win, I would think.
A few flat tires on the way on the.
Just give her some bung advice about that roundabout, and then
stick right.
Right, stick right and get off the circle.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Si, do you want to close us out, mate?
Yeah, no, I think Actually, I've got one last question for you, Chris. So remind me, where are the public toilets on the course? Was it the 19K mark?
There's a really good one that's it's not at the race village. It's an isolated cubicle where the cafe strip is. So you basically run past it maybe at, I guess, 10 or 9Ks, and then you come past it again at 19K. So if you are looking for a loose stop and you don't want to wait for the cubicles on the oval while you're waiting for all the 10K runners to take off, I'd suggest you pop in there.
What a way
Thank you.
What a way to close out episode 3. So, many thanks to Bix Nutrition for supporting our athletes on the road to Bunbury Lighthouse. So for those listening, remember to use the code WARP for 20% off your next purchase of Bix products to support your endurance training needs. Ash, Jackson, Hannah and David, best of luck for all your races next week. I think we'll all be rooting for you, and hopefully you all achieve your A goals. And Rito, I hopefully won't see you at the Koombana Physio tent next Sunday. And look, no doubt the listeners will be following on closely too next Sunday as well. So we look forward to chatting to you guys again in a couple of weeks' time to recap your races. And I think that's it for us. So thanks for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time.
Thanks, Simon.
Thanks, Simon.
Thanks, Matt.
Good luck, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
just starting my run whenever I hear this. Heading out the door. Leg swings.
This isn't being edited out.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we'll keep this in. We'll keep this in.